In many ways, psychology got its start in the 1800s as a science that was going to describe and explain consciousness. No more armchair speculation of the philosophers or the odes of the poets. We were going to offer something new to the world. But that turned out to be a pretty difficult task. It's hard to agree on what consciousness is, on how to study it, and what all the data means. So we'll start out simple. Let's say for the time being that consciousness is the awareness of something. For most of us, consciousness seems to shift around a lot. Now you are aware of thinking about a conversation from last night. Now you pay attention to the sounds of birds. Now you notice the stiffness in your back. Now you notice somehow your brain is on to singing a favorite song of 5 years ago. And now you shift your attention to what my avatar is saying and looks like. Next, we notice that the experience of being aware of something itself changes when we are in different kinds or states of consciousness. Psychologists have spent many decades studying such different states of consciousness, as we discover in dreams, in hypnosis, in the alert awareness of focused problem solving, in ecstatic spiritual states, in daydreaming, in reflective states enhanced by music, and in different forms of meditation. Not to mention altered states of consciousness, that is, altered ways of forming and directing our awareness, that are due to substances such as alcohol, hallucinogens, stimulants, opioids, and the like. In fact, it seems that one way in which humans are quite distinct from other animals is the effort we put into seeking out, producing, and using different states of consciousness. Well, let's try to observe our own awareness. That is, I'm inviting you to be aware of what you are aware of. To do this, let's try a style of meditation in which you keep your attention focused on one thing, say the rise and fall of your chest as you breathe. It helps to be aware of your chest movements if you close your eyes, so let your eyes close and just pay attention to the literal up and down, in and out movements of your chest muscles as you breathe normally. That's it. Eyes closed, paying as close attention as you can to these movements. I'm going to be quiet for a short time. You keep paying attention to what your chest muscles are doing as you breathe. Well, I'm back. Most people are surprised at how difficult this kind of one-pointed meditation can be, even though we tried it for only 30 seconds. Did you notice your mind wandering to different body sensations, to moods you're having, to thoughts about almost anything except your muscles rising and falling? To keep awareness still and focused on one thing is difficult. Psychologists are interested in why this should be so. What does it say about how the brain is put together, or about how a culture provides or fails to provide such training in merely paying attention over an extended period of time? And, since psychologists are very interested in the experience of self and identity, what does all of this jumping about of awareness mean about just who or what is having the thoughts we think? And now for an amazing thing. Research indicates that if you can keep at this kind of meditation, you may become more creative, do better at tests, improve your relationships, and have a better functioning immune system. Amazing! How does all that happen? As with most science, advances in methods of research leads to advances in our understanding of phenomena. So in the last decades, new research methods have led to big advances in understanding consciousness, and even bigger advances in knowing that things are a lot more complicated than we thought. Now we can monitor the brain during sleep, and guess what? In one stage of sleep our brains look about as awake as you are now, if not more so. And it's during this stage, called rapid eye movement sleep, that we're most likely to have vivid dreams, whole stories and epics that seem as real to us during the dream as the daytime world appears to be. Now we can monitor activity of brain centers and brain pathways, using the same kind of magnetic resonance imaging used for medical purposes, and notice what is going on during consciousness. We discover that brain activity may begin a process that will move our hands before we have the conscious experience of wanting to move our hands to touch something. We notice that we can consciously process about 40 bits of information per second taken in by the senses, even though the senses are taking in about 11 million total bits per second. And we notice that Alzheimer's patients who cannot remember any of their personal history are perfectly capable of singing and dancing the tunes learned decades ago. Oh, I've just become aware that my time is up. I hope that you've become more aware of awareness, of your thoughts and feelings, and that you have a greater curiosity in you about consciousness, yours and others. There is no end to the surprises ahead.